This meeting of the Fremont County Board of Commissioners is called to order. Please rise and join us today for our invocation from Lauren Coleman from Free Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, let's pray. Well, Father, we pause this morning to give you praise because you are God and you are the one worth praising. You have control over this earth and over these governments, and we acknowledge that. And we also give you thanks this morning. Thank you for the love that you demonstrated through the death of your Son and through his resurrection that gives us life, for this community that you've placed us in, and for the people that you've surrounded us with. And Lord, this morning I pray that you will give these, your servants who you've put in these positions of authority in this county, will you give them wisdom and discernment to do what is right and what is good in your eyes and what causes flourishing for this community. Again, we give you praise and we thanks and we love you. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lauren. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Grant.
Here.
Commissioner Bell.
Present.
Commissioner McFall.
Present.
County Attorney Jackson.
Present.
County Manager Croce.
Present.
Planning and Zoning Director Victoria.
Present.
Approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I am unaware of any changes we need to make today, so I move to approve today's agenda as presented.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda.
Which is pretty small, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the consent agenda.
I will second, simply with the note that we
Bills.
are not scheduling a public hearing. We like to let folks know when that's happening, and we are not scheduling a public hearing on today's consent agenda.
Has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item on our agenda is our administrative and informational portion of the meeting. First, we turn to our staff and elected officials for reports, and we begin with our County Clerk, Justin Grantham, for the County Clerk's monthly report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I have a few monthly reports since I've been in and out, if that is okay.
Please.
I have January's monthly report. The total motor vehicle fees, sales tax, and recording fees collected in January were $1,202,057.11. Fremont County's portion for disbursement is $692,974.35, which is 58% of the total fees and is $8,997.90 less than January of last year. Year to date, our office is down that number I just said in January. February, on the other hand, the total motor vehicle fees, sales tax, and recording fees collected in February were $1,110,457.74. Fremont County's portion for disbursement is $622,487.68, which is 56% of the total fees and is $28,262.91 less than February of the prior year. Year to date, our office is down $37,260.81. And I'm going to tell you, that's the real estate market right there. The amount of fees that we are collecting for new sales and for people refinancing their houses causes a lot of fees that are collected in the office. And with insurance rates and APR rates going up for people borrowing money going up quite a bit, it's reflecting in the office. So.
Not necessarily the best of news for our citizens.
No, it is not. It's a downturn all the way around.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Any further questions, comments? Or
Motion. Mr. Chair, I move to accept the county clerk's monthly report for the months of January and February of 2023.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We now turn to our county manager, Tony Carochi, for his report.
All right, good morning.
Good
Morning.
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 So we began issuing out our trash vouchers yesterday for our annual spring cleanup, and staff have already handed out over 25 vouchers, so they were busy yesterday. Just a reminder that there are a limited number of free vouchers, and they are available only to residents of unincorporated Fremont County for the disposal of household trash, furniture, construction debris, brush, leaves, etc. Vouchers can be picked up in room 106 at the county admin building and are limited to 1 voucher per address with a photo ID. And another reminder that we are providing an opportunity to get rid of any unwanted electronic devices or items. The recycling event will take place on April the 29th from 9 till 2 p.m. at the Fremont County Department of Human Services parking lot. The cost will be $30 per item for televisions and CRT computer monitors. All other items are free. Information for both events is posted on our Fremont County website and Facebook. We currently have job openings for the following areas: Department of Human Services, Sheriff's Department, Department of Transportation, and the Department of Public Health. I would also like to share that Tony Ademic, our Department of Transportation Director, who has been with the county for the past 29 years, has announced his retirement. This is a huge loss for Fremont County, as he has been an outstanding employee, mentor, coach, and leader for our staff and our partners. He will not be easily replaced. And that posting for his position went out this morning. If you want or need any more information about employment opportunities with Fremont County, please go to our county website, or you can call our HR department at 719-276-7411. And finally, as we continue to look for ways to best utilize the space in our county admin building, which has created some office moves, if you are looking for our IT department, they have migrated. Couldn't help it. They have migrated to the lower level of the county admin building. Please feel free to stop by and see their renovated office space. And that's it, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments for the county manager?
No.
Okay. I know we were, or at least the admin building was very busy yesterday on the trash vouchers to start with. And so please, if you plan on taking advantage of that, get in and get your voucher as soon as you are able. At this time, we move on to our public trustee quarterly report by our county treasurer and public trustee, Kathy Elliott.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Releases of deeds of trust, we did 390. Foreclosures initiated were 16. 8 of those 16 were within the last 2 weeks of March. But then first 2 weeks of April, we've started 2, so we don't know.
Okay. Just looking at this real quick.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. It's
Yeah,
probably just gonna get worse, actually.
yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, hard time.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the Public Trustees Quarterly Report.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kathy.
At this time, are there any other reports from our elected officials?
There could be.
Commissioner Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of things that I would like to mention. First of all, Tony was just talking about the county trash voucher program as well as recycling. And I like to also mention Wholesome. Portland Plant, once again, is sponsoring and hosting Tire Day. This is the day they collect tires from everyone in Fremont County. You need to have photo ID. You can take up to 20 passenger tires and dispose of them free of charge. So this event will be held at the park there in Portland on Highway 120. It's Saturday, April 22nd from 12 noon until, I'm sorry, from 8 a.m. until 12 noon. And the other thing I wanted to mention with that is, since 2005, they have collected and reused more than 65,000 tires from Fremont County alone. So that's a great thing that they do. If you have used tires you need to get rid of, there's your opportunity. The other thing that I would like to mention, Mr. Chair, is we have the opportunity quarterly to sit and visit with other elected officials from the City of Florence and from the City of Canyon City. We had that opportunity yesterday, and I just would like to say it's a really great space for us to sit and just discuss issues that we have in common. We have the opportunity to update each other with what's maybe coming up that we haven't heard about yet, what's coming down the pike, applications that we may be receiving. We have really great conversations through those meetings, and I just would like to say thank you to our fellow elected officials as well as city managers and administrators. It's a really good opportunity for us to get to know each other a little better and network a little bit, and I appreciate those days, so thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner, anything?
Yeah, a couple quick things. One, April 12th through the 18th is Public Safety Telecommunications Week. So thanking the dispatchers out there that work in the 911 call center. Hopefully you never have to call those folks for anything, but when you do, know that there's somebody behind the scenes there answering your calls and getting you taken care of. And then the last thing I have to say, Clerk Grantham.
Guess what?
It's really dry out there. The wind's going to blow today. We're under a fire weather watch today. Be very careful if you're out and about doing anything. I know there's some agriculture burning going on. Make sure that if you're in a fire district, you're in touch with your fire chiefs in those districts and taking care of business in the correct way. Thank you.
Okay. The only thing I'll probably add on is just a reminder that this group of county commissioners, we participate in Colorado Counties Incorporated, and I know Commissioner Bell and Commissioner McFall take part more than I have to this point, at least in NACO, or National Association of Counties. But these are groups that we can take part in to help lobby on bills or against bills, in particular this year, that are harmful to our constituents and harmful to counties and harmful to local government and the ability to have decision-making processes down on the local level instead of at a state or national level. In particular, there is a bill, and I see the Mayor Pro Tem here in the audience again, and we appreciate his attendance as always. But a particular Senate Bill 213, that was heard in committee last week, that is a direct affront against local control and land use authority. It doesn't directly affect currently counties. But as we have seen in past bills and past efforts to go after counties, then they turn around and go after cities. And this time they're going after cities, and it's just a matter of time before they come after us. And so these county commissioners and our county, Colorado Counties Incorporated, came out strongly against this Senate Bill 213 that would basically take some level of control that we are able to have here over land use and put it in, when I say here, I mean right now as far as the cities go. It would take some of that decision-making away from local elected officials and put it in the hands of our state agencies, unelected bureaucrats, essentially. We are obviously not for such things, and we have vehemently protested and voted against that bill and are officially opposed to it as a organization, Colorado Counties, Inc. And we will continue to keep you updated on such things, but hopefully we can make enough strides against this that we can get this defeated. Odds are against us, to be perfectly honest, in the current legislature and its makeup, but we will continue to try. Adding on to that, all of the bad Second Amendment bills that we see, I should say gun control bills. We are obviously against each and every one of those, as they do nothing to enhance safety in any stretch of the imagination. So we will continue to fight for our rights here as far as what the legislature is trying to do to us instead of for us. Any other comments? At this time, we'll move on in our agenda to the second item there under administrative and informational, which is the citizens who wish to address the commissioners on a matter not scheduled on the agenda. If you wish to speak at this time, please fill out a information slip on the back table there. We do have some that have already signed up, and I will take these in order as I receive them right here. And looks like we have a common theme amongst these. So let's begin with Mr. Hodges. And please turn that microphone on there with that button. And that's it. State your name and
Hello. My name is Mark Hodges, and I live out off County Road 132, and I'm speaking because Rodrigo Lopez has been running a business up there with motorcycles for almost 2 years now, after having withdrawn his application to do so. So I feel that he's doing so illicitly. And I'm a little concerned about it because of the length of time that it's been going on. And I spoke with Mike in code enforcement, and he said to discuss it with the county attorney. And I made an attempt to set an appointment to do that and was declined. So I thought this was the next best venue. I basically have two questions. Who precisely is doing precisely what in regards to this issue? And the second question is, what can we do to assist? What can we do to help? I just picked up beer cans off my driveway yesterday. Those people running around up there know that we don't like what's going on, and they're throwing the trash out now just as a sign of their displeasure. And I have them parking down by the mailboxes on County Road 132. I have pictures of the vehicles and the transit vans and the Jeeps and the trailers and the bikes and the license plates. And code enforcement didn't seem to be in need of additional evidence to prove what's going on up there. So I'm pretty sure y'all are aware of it. So I have a list of almost 20 people here. I'm not going to bother reading them all, but a lot of them are from Red Rocks. A lot of them are from my neighborhood. They've called me. Through various reasons, they couldn't be present today, but we wanted to bring it up again to kind of stir the pot, because I really honestly feel that be patient, we're working on it, is getting a little bit old after this length of time. So in closing, I'd like to repeat those two questions and see if we can get an answer of some sort as to what's being done about it and what we can do to help. So that's about all I've got.
If, Mr. Hodges, if you want that list of other neighbors and whatnot, if you want to leave that with us as well, that'd be fine, or...
Okay. I also have a copy of the letter Grant and Debbie Chess wrote.
We have that letter as well.
Yeah, I think we've got that one, Mark.
Thank you, sir.
Really appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Michael Macy.
Yes, Michael Macy, 873 Canyon Estates Road. And I also wanted to address this because when it started out at the beginning of the year, right after the holidays, the vehicles started coming in. The traffic got worse. Then he brought in vehicles that could not get up to the motorcycle park, so now they're parking down and riding their dirt bikes on our driveways. And on a Sunday morning, when you want to rest and relax and you have racing bikes running past your place is not good. Our neighbor used to walk her grandson down to the mailbox to get the mail and back, and we would stop and talk. She no longer does that because she's afraid of the amount of traffic and the type of traffic that is now in our driveways. They're also just parking willy-nilly along the road around our mailbox, and I've gone out of there, and people are out there stripping down their motorcycle clothes to put on regular clothes right along the road. So it's an issue, it's getting out of control, and it's turning our neighborhood into a place that we don't want to be at anymore. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sean? Baber? Yes. Okay. That's B-A-B-E-R?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for hearing me out. So I have kind of the same two questions that Mr. Hodges asked, but I also wanted to kind of bring my own personal spin on things. Me and my wife purchased property on 132. We're in Red Rock, so we're a little bit further back. 95% of the reason that we bought property back there is because it's well off the beaten path. It's nice and quiet, great place to start a family, and all that stuff. Had we known this, we wouldn't have been buying property out there. Just 2 weeks ago, when they were having a big event out there, me and the wife were going out to dinner on Sunday night, Sunday evening, and we got run off the road by somebody that thought that they needed to go about 50, 60 mile an hour down 132. And I don't know how familiar you are with that area, but there's that S-turn that comes out, and there's that old school there. And they thought that that would be the best place to try and pass me. They had dirt bikes in the back of their truck, and they were driving like, they shouldn't be driving like that. And, you know, we're just in my wife's little car. You know how expensive gas is. So, you know, we basically get pushed off the road over there, and it's not an environment where we feel safe anymore. We can't leave. We've only got one way in and one way out there. And then we also talked about the fire hazards and stuff like that. I'm sure that you'll hear more about that. But, you know, emergency services are pretty far away. And I've been up kind of in that area with my side-by-side, purpose-built, four-wheel drive, can off-road, and it is difficult to get up there in that. And, you know, I can't imagine a fire truck being able to get up there or anything like that. And the prevailing winds, that fire is going to come right towards my beautiful log home that I've been spending 2 years building. So it's a big concern, and then all that. So I appreciate y'all hearing me out. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And J.D. Weiss or Weiss? Weiss.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for your time.
Morning.
I've got, well, 2 pages. I'm just going to go real quickly, but I've got 3 copies if you'd like to have them.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is just some notes that I've made concerning this operation. Starting off with fire danger. There's fuel leaks, fuel spills, exhaust sparks, and smoking can cause a major fire. High winds can fan the flames through the dry grass, the trees, and any hay that the ranchers have around. Fire department response, a minimum of 20 minutes out of Canyon City, and it's usually much longer. You have the Canyon City, City of Florence, and others. I'm not sure if Penrose has a fire department or not. There is no fire department in that valley. There's a danger to people, livestock, wild animals, and buildings due to fire. County Road 132 is the only way in and out of that valley, especially for those of us living further out. Medical emergency, the response time is a minimum of 20 minutes, if not longer, coming out of Canyon City. Medical helicopter response, almost, it's very limited. Minimum 45 minutes coming out of the Springs, Colorado Springs. And the reason I know it's 45 minutes because my wife worked at the hospital, and she said that's how long it takes them to get there. the hospital here in town. Okay, the entire valley is covered by a military operations area, MOA, and it is closed to civilian aircraft when the military is using it. There's excessive damage to County Road 132 with all the traffic, washboards, a lot of dust, and with all the additional traffic going in and out to that racetrack. There's a large amount of dust being generated by that racetrack. There's environmental damage, fuel leaks and spills. They can contaminate the aquifer that is used for humans and animals or livestock. And of course, there's a fire hazard from that. There's mudslides and erosion from rain and snow from the tire ruts and where they bulldoze a trail up the side of the hill, or mountain as they call it. And there's excessive exhaust fumes. There's excessive noise from the track, and I can hear it at my house, and I'm somewhere between 3 and 5 miles away. I've never actually clocked the distance, but it's a ways out there. In fact, I live past Sean, and he's 1.5 miles from me. There's reckless motorcycle and vehicle drivers going to and from the track. They drive onto County Road 132 to turn into or out of the driveway. They cut in front of vehicles that are already on the road, and it's usually done at a high rate of speed. It appears they don't look. And they try to pass us at a high rate of speed, motorcycles or pickup trucks with motorcycles in the back or with trailers and motorcycles. This is a danger to everyone on County Road 132. You have other vehicle drivers, pedestrians, equestrians, and livestock being moved between pastures. They fail to yield at that one-lane bridge. I've seen vehicles coming the other direction, and I almost hit the wall trying to avoid them. And going to and from the trailhead at the end of County Road 132, motorcycles and other vehicles traveling at a pretty high rate of speed up that hill almost caused an accident for my vehicles. I live at the top of the hill. So when I turn out of my driveway or into the driveway and I look, I don't see anybody, but that's sort of a blind hill, and they come flying through there. They'll either sometimes swerve around us or they'll stomp on their brakes really hard and slide to a stop. The current usage of the tract property is not in keeping with the established residential and ranch usage in the area. Track users are parking on County Road 132, and that's a safety hazard not only for them, but for other people using County Road 132. They'll drive out from between their parked vehicles right into the path of an oncoming vehicle. It appears these people either don't look or they're doing it on purpose. I've had it happen to me several times, and I know Sean has too. Now, people have moved out there to get away from the noise and the traffic and the hassles of living in a city. And we don't want to hear the noise or put up with the additional traffic, reckless drivers, and excessive damage to the road, the washboards. It's a dirt road. A serious accident or worse will occur if this facility is not shut down. Property values will be going down if this activity isn't terminated. The track is a major nuisance due to noise, additional traffic ruining the road, and reckless drivers. Several landowners were forced to sell and move out because of the activities and their close proximity to this motorcycle track. True or not, I don't know. The track is operating without a business license. And the question is, do they have liability insurance in case of an accident or accidental death or fire, etc.? They are charging money to get in and use the track for people to drive in there. The residents of the valley that I've spoken to do not want this track in the area, including my wife and I who have signed this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any others that would wish to address the board at this time on this subject or any other subject that's not on the agenda?
Here's another copy in case you need it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Hodges, is it okay if I keep this list, or would you like a copy of this back?
I just about have it memorized. You're welcome to it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any comments or questions on any of this?
Oh, excuse me, sir. Additional comment.
Please.
When they're saying Red Rocks, we're talking about Red Rocks at Beaver Creek,
Correct,
which is the housing area further out. Sean and I are both on the board of directors, and we are representing the Red Rocks at Beaver Creek.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Just a couple comments on that for myself. I really appreciate all you guys bringing this to our attention. Obviously, we have been made aware of much of this and sympathize greatly with what you guys are dealing with. What you can do to help, I think, is just keep us informed on the activities that are going on out there. I know we appreciate that. We appreciate being made aware of such things, and we wouldn't know otherwise if you didn't let us know. What is being done about this issue? I know there is, while you guys have to live with it on a daily basis, we do have processes that we have to go through. It's not a satisfying answer, but it is the reality. We have to go through processes here for the protection of everybody. Investigation, notification, trying to get voluntary compliance on some of these issues. And that's why sometimes it takes a long time. And if somebody throws it back in our face, in your face, then we have to go into legal action. And I think that's kind of where we're at the moment, and going into that phase of this. And so while the wheels of government turn slowly, they are turning, and we are aware, and we are going to do our best to try to solve this situation as quickly as we possibly can. So if there's any further comments or questions, be happy to talk to each and every one of you afterwards or anytime. All of us have open door policies, and we'd love to talk with you about it as much as we can. So thank you all again for being here today. Any others that want to address this board before we move on in our agenda? Seeing none. Next item on our agenda is old business. There is none, so we move on to new business. And we start with Mr. Sheridan again. Welcome back. And a proclamation recognizing the veterans of foreign warriors and designating Saturday, April 22nd, 2023 as VFW Warriors Memorial Highway Day. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Fremont County Commissioners, Board of Directors, and everybody that's here on the board, I thank you for having me here again in a different capacity. I am the State Vice President for VFW Warriors of the state of Colorado. I'm also the Department Chief of Staff for the State VFW Commander in this area for the state of Colorado, as well as being a post commander in Penrose and District 2 Commander, just newly elected in. With this, I thank you very much for this proclamation you've done. As some of you read the proclamation there, the VFW Warriors is not just for the VFW Warriors, it's for all warriors from all branches of military, from the American Legion all the way down. This here, it puts recognition of what all veterans have sacrificed overseas as well as on our United States soils. With this here, this is recognizing all of our veterans who have given all on both sides, and especially on Route 115. We have lost too many of our warriors on all branches of service on this road. Not saying it's not safe, it happens. It happens everywhere. It just so happened this road here, if you notice down at my post in Penrose, we have a memorial of VFW warriors and that who have fallen on Route 115 or within this area in Colorado Springs or down here. This proclamation is great. And on the 22nd, I hope to see all of you there when we do the unveiling of the sign for Route 115. With your diligence that you've helped us on this, it took us a year to get this through the Colorado Senate to get it approved. And that right there alone is very good. Sorry. Veterans are my home. When I retired from federal service just in October of last year, I started a new chapter. Veterans are my home. Veterans are my priority. That's what I do. And if I can help veterans in any way through the state of Colorado, that's what I do. This is one part here for the veterans' families, for the veterans who've lost brothers and sisters out there. This is something for closure. So, and I thank you for what you've done. And again, April 22nd, 1 p.m., I hope to see you there.
Okay. Do we want to read this memorial?
I believe we do.
Would you like to do that?
I would be happy to, unless Jim would like to read it
Ms.
himself.
Bell, that'd be an honor.
All right. This is a proclamation for the Veterans of Foreign Wars Warriors Memorial Highway. Whereas Fremont County has a proud and distinguished history of dedicated military service by men and women whose sacrifice, courage, and heroism preserve for past, present, and future generations the liberties and way of life within our democratic republic as set forth in our state and national constitutions. And whereas Fremont County significantly benefits from the presence and military service of our veterans, including their family members and survivors. And whereas the forefathers of the Veterans of Foreign Wars merged in 1914 to become a single organization, working to secure veteran rights and benefits for their service. And whereas the very heart of the VFW beats with these United States citizens and nationals with an honorable discharge from or currently serving in the United States military, who have served overseas during an operation or conflict and are dedicated with an Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal or a campaign medal or ribbon. And whereas the VFW has extended beyond the realm of simply being an organization for veterans, helping fellow veterans, and has become a leader in community involvement and civic volunteerism. And whereas the Colorado General Assembly has designated the portion of Colorado State Highway 115 in Fremont County from mile marker 15 to mile marker 27 as Veterans of Foreign Wars Warriors Memorial Highway. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed by the County Commissioners of Fremont County that Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, is hereby designated as VFW Warriors Memorial Highway Day. The County Commissioners urge all people of Fremont County to recognize, support, and honor veterans of foreign wars today and throughout the year. And I would like to say, Mr. Chair, it has been my honor to work with Jim to bring this forward to the board. We thank you for everything that you are doing, and you better believe I'm going to be there on the 22nd.
It'll be an honor.
Yes, indeed. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I move to approve this proclamation recognizing Veterans of Foreign Wars Warriors, designating Saturday, April 22nd, 2023 as VFW Warriors Memorial Highway Day.
Yeah, I'm glad
That's a mouthful.
you had to say that, not me. I'm going to start before I second this and just say thank you to you for your service, and there's other veterans in this room as well. Thank all of you for your service, and thanks for what you're doing with the VFW, and I second that.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second, and I'll just pile on with a big ditto. So thank you, Jim, for your work on this, and look forward to celebrating with you.
Well, without your help, we couldn't have got as far as we did. You put the guide out there, you pointed what we had to do, and we got it accomplished, and without your help, we could not have got this.
Thank
And
you,
I
sir.
thank you.
I also would say, Jim did mention earlier that it's taken an entire year, and I said, you got this done in a year.
That was quick. Yeah. Most of the time it's longer than that.
Yeah, I've heard it take 2 to 3 years before,
Yes,
so
I have
you
too.
apparently did something right.
Being a retired old first sergeant, I can, know how to push buttons sometimes.
Well, good job.
Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Could we get a picture of you with in front of that?
I think we probably could.
Where's that?
Get that proclamation.
Yeah. I, just to make note, it is 10:09, and we do have a public hearing, but we will save that till after all the new business items. If you're here to speak for that public hearing on the commissioner maps, that will take place at the very end of this agenda, because we will be doing the precinct maps and the commissioner maps back to back at the end.
Tony, you got a camera?
act like you've done it before.
Look at your glasses.
I know. Okay, on to our next item. Item number 2 on new business, the request for the issuance of a fermented malt beverage special events permit for Castle Rock Professional Firefighters Foundation for an event at Royal Gorge Bridge, East Ridge Campground, Canyon City, on May 13th, 2023, from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I believe the representative Caleb McNeil is here. And Mr. McNeil, if you would like to start us off with the description of what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, so there's a bike race held that day. It's called the Royal 6 and 12. We, the Castle Rock Professional Firefighter Foundation, will just be serving the donated beer from right here locally. So we worked this event last year. It was a great event. Lots of people coming from all over the state. So it's just an opportunity for us to serve some beer and get some tips for our foundation. And yeah, I guess that's the event.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, indeed.
Please.
Could you please describe the training that these servers have had? And I also would like to know how you will know who is of age to drink and who is not.
Yeah, so last year when we did it, our several firefighters went through the tips training. So we have those guys there. At least a few of us will have it. And then we just ID everybody that comes through. So there'll be a gated off area. I think the dimensions are 40 by 80 that we just gate off with some construction, orange fencing to keep people in that designated area. And then as they come in, we ID them and then give them a wristband to let us know that they're of age. And then we only serve the people with the wristbands, and somebody's posted at that gate there just to keep them from wandering the campsite and the rest of the course.
So everyone who will be serving has been TIPS certified, correct?
Well, there is multiple of us that have. Last year, we didn't need to get every single person that was up there at the event, but the people that are there at the booth serving, we have multiple people with the TIPS training to sort of oversee it all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is all.
Okay. Anything?
No, he answered him when he's talking. Thanks.
Okay. This time we'll turn to Ms. Smith for a staff report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The clerk's office sees no issues with this application. We've been provided with all the necessary documentation. After being reviewed by the county attorney, the health department and sheriff's office do recommend approval, and the clerk's office also recommends approval.
Fantastic. Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments? This is an item on our agenda, and it is open for the public to speak if there's anybody that wishes to speak on this item. Seeing none. Any further comments from staff or elected officials?
I have a motion, if you're
Then
ready.
I'll take a motion.
There's none other. I move to approve the request for fermented malt beverage special events permit for Castle Rock Professional Firefighters Foundation. It's for an event at the Royal Gorge Bridge, East Ridge Campground, and it is on May 13th, 2023, from 4 to 9 p.m.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Roll call.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Good luck with your event.
Thank you.
Item number 3 on our agenda, the request for approval of a modification of premises for Lincoln Park Liquor, Inc., doing business as Waterhole Number 1, a retail liquor store at 1532 Elm Avenue, Canyon City. With us today are the representative, Angela Cecil.
Good morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please tell us what you have planned.
I am here today because I wanted to talk about potentially holding some outside tastings at my business. My plan to do this, the goal is to utilize the tools and space that I already have and kind of find new exciting things to bring customers to me.
Such as?
So very recently, I was approved for a tasting license. With that, we've held a couple so far, pretty successful ones. I would like to keep going with that, just change the location of where we're going to hold them.
The current ones are inside?
Indoors, yes.
And it looks like these are, we were talking about this the other day, this is gonna be that grass area
Correct.
on the east side,
Mhm.
not south and east of the building.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any questions for Ms. Cecil?
Maybe not a question, but just a point that when you came before us originally for your tasting license, you had discussed eventually moving this outside as well,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
So we had that conversation at that time and notified you that it was not on the official request at that moment, and so you would have to come back for that. And so
Correct.
that's what you're here for today?
Yes, that's why I'm here today.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question, I guess. How are you gonna fence that off?
That was what I wanted to talk about next. Do you guys have a copy of this control plan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on the very bottom, my question to you guys, obviously, before holding any event, I would fence it. But the question I pose is, would I be able to potentially purchase event fencing, like that giant orange fencing, and just kind of haul that out there when I'm holding said events and then put it back in? How do you want this fence? What are the parameters? Things like that.
I would prefer you purchase it, don't borrow it from somebody. Or
Well, that's
steal it,
good.
I mean. No.
Illegally borrowed.
Yeah, don't illegally, yeah. There you go. You can borrow it.
So that was kind of just my thoughts, that I would haul this out while doing said events and then kind of put it away when done. If you prefer a more, if you want me to build one, I can build one. We can talk about what that looks like. But I wasn't sure kind of what the parameters are or
I don't
what the
think
needs
there's,
would be.
I don't think there's any event that we permit that requires a permanent fencing.
I would say, however, that, I'm sorry.
I would just point out that she's changing her premise, or premises of the entire place. So even though it's just for tastings, it may need to be permanent for that
It's
reason.
not a temporary deal yet.
It's part of the premises,
Okay.
and the whole premises has to be controlled.
Sure.
I would say one factor that you have to watch out for is that's a pretty tight corner in 115. And I would venture to say that the state probably has a 60-foot easement, which means 30 foot from center line to your side.
Okay.
So you don't want to encroach in that at all.
I wasn't planning on
Yeah.
it, but that's good to know.
Yeah, and that's kind of an assumption that on my part that it's a 60-foot, but I would almost bet money that it is.
Okay.
So that's 30 foot on your side from the center line, but yeah, you need to stay well away from that. And then I don't think we have any regulations on the height of the fence, but that it just needs to be
There's
permanent.
building code regulations on the height of the fence. You might want to
Sure.
check with them.
I'm gonna do that.
Because I
after
think
this,
it's
too.
6, but it might be 7 feet.
They've recently made it.
You need your mic there, Mr.
Mic.
Victoria.
My apologies, sir. Yeah, I think the building department went up to 7 feet from 6.
So if it's less than 7 feet, you don't need any permits for it, and the type of fencing isn't regulated.
Okay.
Also, I might add, state highway setbacks are, usually their highways are 100-foot easement, not
That
60.
one's 60, I'm pretty sure.
So, a lot of questions still.
Yes.
Um,
And even after today, whatever happens today, I still wouldn't be holding or doing any of these things until we dialed each and every one of those in.
Okay. I would probably recommend at least maybe the first stop after this today is talking to Mr. Victoria and going from there.
Yeah, I'd be happy to discuss things up in my office with you, and then we can take a walk down to building department and get everything sorted out, what you'd need to do.
Okay.
Okay. Any further comments or questions?
I guess a question for our county attorney, would we need to approve this pending fencing, appropriate fencing, or?
No, she can put in the modifications after approval.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I've got nothing
Staff or
else.
elected? How about a motion?
I'm ready.
You want to see if anybody has a comment on
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
This is open for public comment, if there is anyone here that wishes to make a comment on this. Seeing none, how about a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Please.
I move to approve this request of a modification of premises for Lincoln Park Liquor, Inc., doing business as Waterhole Number 1, a retail liquor store located at 1532 Elm Avenue in Canyon City.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Any further comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay,
Thank you.
congratulations. Next item on our agenda, item number 4, requesting the issuance of a malt, venison, spirituous special events permit for American Medical Refugees Foundation at the Pathfinder Park Event Center for events on April 22nd and 23rd of 2023 from 8 to 10 p.m. on both of those dates. The representative here is the representative here.
He's not here.
She's not here.
No.
Okay. Shall we proceed on this, or what is the standard operating procedure on a liquor license that we don't have a representative here? That's the first time it's happened since I've been
We don't really
here.
have a standard operating procedure, I believe. So I would look to our county attorney for advice.
It's up to the board. I mean, you can obviously approve any of your agenda items or review any of your agenda items without the applicant being here. Obviously, if there are questions, you're not going to be able to get those answered.
Right. Well, let's begin, I guess, with the, I want to chew on that. I would move that we table this to the end of this meeting after the public hearing, and we can come back to this and visit it at the
Okay,
end.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Well, Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Postponement approved.
Thank you. Let's move to item number 5, requesting the issuance of a fermented malt beverage special events permit for Canyon City Rodeo Association at 1595 South 9th Street, Canyon City, on May 5th and 6th of 2023 from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. on both dates. With us today is a representative for the association, Andy Phillips. Mr. Phillips.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please go ahead and tell us what you got planned and.
Well, it'll be our annual rodeo, the 150th, May 5th and 6th, Friday night, Saturday night, has taken place over the last several years. Everything is pretty much the same as it's been in the past. There's really not any other changes other than I've gotten more volunteers, and we've put some things in place to make them a little more educated, and keep an eye on things regarding the alcohol piece of this rodeo. We will be having 4 tip certified people in place. We serve alcohol at 2 different locations, one up by the grandstands and one back by the chutes. There will be 2 people at each location for this rodeo. It will be contained and monitored through the fencing, which comes in for the entrance of the rodeo, and through the contestant gate. So no alcohol will be able to be taken out, brought in. I mean, unless we have somebody who can search everything, I don't know that we'll be able to keep anything out, but that's the reality of it. I mean, but the idea is to keep a close eye on it. I have been talking with the sheriff's department to do security for us. Sounds like they are in agreement. We have to go over some details as far as the who, what, where, when. And why? Well, we know why, but the who, what, where, and when. Temporary fencing will be what keeps everything in place
Okay,
for this.
okay. Any questions for Mr. Phillips?
I've got one question for
Please.
you, Andy, Mr. Phillips, sorry. So the fence that's on the north side of the arena, the permanent fence that's your boundary on the back side of that? Or you have temporary fencing on the other side, as you show in the drawing?
Yes.
So that's the whole perimeter, right? Because you're gonna have trailers and stuff parked back there, contestants.
Yeah, there'll be horse
Yeah.
trailers and stuff
And
like
that-
that. So we have our main fence, which is our boundary for keeping
Right.
everything in. And then the temporary fencing will keep a handle
On the front, on the south side of it.
on the
And so you'll
grandstand side.
have security or whoever you make the deal with, sheriff department, whoever, watching that perimeter fence as well.
Exactly. Yes, they did a phenomenal job last year, and I was very happy with what they did, and I want to bring them back. And it helps the community, it helps the officers, and we're proud to be able to do that.
The other question I have, are you gonna have food vendors again this year?
We are going to have some food vendors. I've had a little bit of a hiccup come along. One of my food vendors has canceled on me, so I have to get another food vendor that is registered with the health department. So I have to get on that.
Okay, that was the
Next.
concern of the health department, is they need to know the list of those to make sure that they do have their proper license when you get those.
Okay, and I do have that paperwork. I just received it yesterday. The individual who was helping to fill out these permits and take care of this is stepped away. So it is kind of falling into my lap, so to speak, which in regards to that, I do have some questions. But we'll get to that in just a minute. So I will be filling out that paperwork and submitting it to Ms. Smith and the health department.
All right.
Okay,
Nothing at this time.
Okay, well, at this time, why don't we turn to Ms. Smith for staff report?
All right. So Canyon City Rodeo Association's application was submitted to the clerk's office 38 days before the event on March 28th. It does not meet the county's 45-day guideline. Getting the posting and routine processes for this hearing done in time to meet statutory deadlines did cause the clerk's office and recording division undue hardship. Nevertheless, the applicant did provide all the required documentation, and the sheriff's office and health department were able to process their reports and recommend approval. The health department has requested that the applicant complete an event coordinator application and discuss the food vendors who will be attending the event. I don't know if that's gonna be a condition or what, but Amy sent that to me yesterday. The clerk's office suggests that the applicant meet the county's 45-day guideline in the future so as not to jeopardize the possibility of obtaining a permit.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Smith?
Mr. Chair, if I might add a few comments myself.
Okay.
And I understand you had some turnover, so getting the application in was quite hard. But the coordination, not just between our office, but the sheriff's office, the health department, that 45-day guideline is really, even though it's a 30-day statutory guideline or mandate, there are processes and procedures and deadlines that we need met so that if there are problems with the application, we can get those corrected. And over the past few applications that the Canyon City Rodeo Association has turned in, it's progressively gotten later for us to stop all of our work, not to mention the health department has to stop their daily agenda, sheriff's office stops their daily agenda to make sure that we can push this through as quickly as possible to hopefully meet the commissioners' meetings on their annual meetings, or they would have to schedule a special board meeting just for the one thing. So I understand this is the 150th anniversary, I understand there was turnover, but we as a county, we highly suggest you get those in much quicker so that if there is a problem, we can correct that before your application would just be considered no because you didn't meet those deadlines. That includes the public notice that we had to prompt multiple times to get someone in to pick up that notice. Because if that wasn't posted, you wouldn't be able to have this period, plus the open time frame where people have the option to protest you serving liquor at this place as well. We have to meet all those pieces. So in the future from going on, if you can please get those in much quicker for that 45 days, that way we have the necessary time to make sure these events happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that applies to anyone applying for these, not just you guys, so.
Yes, it does. I apologize for that, yeah.
The millions watching around the world, it applies to anybody that's applying for these special event permits.
I was
so.
just thinking the same thing. While Mr. Phillips gets to stand
Yeah,
here
he gets to
at
stand
this
here and take
moment
it.
and hear it. The fact of the matter is, this has happened on other occasions, not just on the stuff in front of us today. In fact, the one that we tabled to the end of this agenda is another one.
Correct.
That we were going to have this discussion with. So unfortunately, it'll appear that we're picking on Mr. Phillips, but it's not the case, I swear.
I got big shoulders, I can handle it.
Yes, sir. But the broader message to everybody out there is we have a clerk's office that has to get stuff processed in a limited amount of time, in addition to everything else they have to do. And we're going to take a much more serious look at what we actually approve as we sit here as a board. If it becomes habitual for those applying for licenses or events, et cetera. In the future, this may not be tolerated as much as it has been. Just leave it at that. So, any other questions or comments?
I want to point out, you guys applied for a fermented malt beverage license. Is that what you want? You don't want the malt, vinous, and spiritus?
No.
Years past, you've had that, so.
Well, we opted not to have that because we didn't have a vendor that was going to supply those.
Okay.
So it's going to be beer only.
Sounds good. I wanted to double
Okay.
check before it was
Thank
approved.
you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. All right, anything else?
I have a motion.
Please.
All right. Before I make this motion, I would like to say congratulations on the honor of being named Grand Marshal for the
Yeah,
Thank you.
Blossom Festival
Thank you. I
Parade.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
You wanted to get out of here without one of us saying
No,
that.
absolutely, yes. And as well as the 150th anniversary, I understand this rodeo is the longest lasting rodeo that is west of the Mississippi. Is that correct?
There's been a lot of back and forth about it. I know Prescott Frontier Days claims to be the world's oldest rodeo. I know Deer Trail has had their 150th. So it's,
We're still going to
unless
claim
you
it.
really did a deep dive, it would be really tough to try and needle down who
Nail it
actually.
down.
That's one of those, we need to go ahead and claim it and let somebody else do the research.
There
and
you
prove
go.
us wrong,
Yeah, that's right. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but somehow I think that might end up getting us in some trouble.
But 150 years, nevertheless, is very impressive. So congratulations on that. So,
Before the motion,
yes.
I do need to make this available for the public if they wish to comment on this, if there is anyone in the audience. Seeing none.
All right.
Commissioner Bell.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve this fermented malt beverage special events permit for the Canyon City Rodeo Association, located at 1595 South 9th Street in Canyon City, for events that will be held on May 5th and 6th, 2023, from 5 to 11 p.m. I will not make it part of the motion that you must clear it through the health department, but you need to get that done because you are not allowed to have someone there serving food who is not licensed. And if that happens, you'll be in a lot of trouble. So I would suggest working with them and getting that taken care of.
And we do verify that they are licensed with the local health department.
Okay, perfect.
To do our due diligence, because that's one of those things that I don't want to have to face.
All right, thank you.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Any other comments? Roll call.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
I did have a couple of quick notes, or questions, or maybe a suggestion. I take it for what it is. If there's any way that the health department and the liquor board could put together a complete package or a packet that you could basically submit a single map with your event on it, a checklist of everything that, is required for this, and a more definitive date as far as when this all needs to be turned in. On the paperwork for the liquor board application, it says 30 days in advance. We get told that it's 45 days, so there is a little bit of confusion there. I know that's state documents, and Talia has explained it that the state mandates it at 30 days, but it puts you guys in a bind. So there is a little bit of confusion there. On the health department side, they say, I printed off the document yesterday and it said at least 2 weeks in advance. Well, I'm like, wow, I can see how that would definitely put them in a bind, which I definitely don't want to do that, because then they get in a bind, I get a bind, and everybody has a bad day. So if there's any way you could maybe come together, put it together in a packet of, hey, if you're having a liquor event and a food event at the same time, fill out this packet, have it in 45 days, 60 days, whatever time frame you set, and on that checklist have, the time frame in which the county would like to have that. I think that would be really beneficial. Then there's no nothing gets misconstrued as to when you're supposed to have everything done.
Okay.
That would help me a bunch.
All right.
As I'm sure it would help others as well.
All right.
I would be happy to put together a packet for our department for liquor licensing, and then anything that the health department would want to give. But a lot of our special events don't come straight to our office to get those applications. They can go to DOR's website and get those. So if someone were to come to me, I could tell them this is what's required, but they don't always go through our office. We don't know they're having an event until they turn in their complete application.
On the website, I've never looked, so I don't have any knowledge about that, but does it say the 45 days or does it say 30 days?
No, on DOR's website, it only says 30 days. The 45 days is set by the clerk's office.
Okay, so I think if you were to put that on there, that would
And so we can't change state documents, but I would be happy to put together something for our office. That would only if someone came through our office directly for that paperwork would they see that, though.
The forms are available from the State Department of Revenue, and they have the state deadline, which is 30 days, but they don't do our reviews anymore. So
Okay.
that's where the confusion is. It's the same form either way, but if you download it from a state website, we don't have any control or any way to notify people about local requirements on that website.
So the states
The
got us a bit like this, do
the
they?
state's following their rules, and then we have local rules,
that
so
puts you guys
it's
in bind. Okay,
confusing
I
for
understand
us
that.
too, yeah.
That's understandable.
So I guess it'll just be incumbent upon us to work harder to try to communicate the 45-day window and what we can do to make that work better, and whatever we can do to help facilitate other departments and on the front end.
Yeah, I like I said, that's just a thought process that I had that might help everyone out and not have to continue this discussion for other people.
I appreciate
like
that.
I say, I don't mind the hot seat. I've been there way too many years throughout my life, so, but that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
If we are complete.
All right.
Thank you.
We are done.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Good luck with your radio.
Rodeo?
Yeah,
It
the
sounded
rodeo.
like radio.
I heard
Oh, the
radio.
rodeo. Thanks.
All right, next item on our agenda is the appointment of a new member to the 4-H Sale Committee with the term ending December 31, 2023. Do I turn to
I'll take
Commissioner
this one,
McFall?
Mr. Chair, you bet. Thank you. We've had an opening on the sales committee for quite a little bit, and we finally got another interested party. And Lena Demick, the Demick family is very engaged in 4-H, have kids in 4-H still, and they do a great job as a family with 4-H as a whole. And I'm glad that she threw her name in the ring here. And I want to make a motion to appoint Lena Demick to the 4-H Sales Committee with a term ending December 31st, 2023. And the reason that is a short term is because she's filling the hole of somebody that resigned, and then she'll be eligible, if she's interested, to re-up for a 3-year term at the end of this year.
And I second.
All righty, it has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Which moves us to the last item on new business, except for the one that was tabled. This is the proposal to change the precinct maps. And for this, we will go directly to Clerk Grantham for a summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and everyone out in the whole wide world.
All millions of them.
As much as the Commissioner Bell wants me to read every legal description that has
Every
ever been
single
created for this,
one.
I will defer to Commissioner McFall. And so
Grab a seat, it's going to be a bit.
every 10 years, the state has to go through some sort of redistricting, whether that be at the state level, county level, precinct level. It just happens to be this is the precinct level turn after the congressional districts and state districts are done by the Independent Ethics Commission. For a little piece of that would be I wrote a letter and gave it to the parties about the congressional districts and state and house districts of we're a community we need to keep as communities, so when you draw your lines, think of the communities that are involved. And so I took that same premise to the precincts as well. If there are communities out in the outskirts, they should be kept together. They shouldn't be cut up by the road just because there's a road right there in the middle of a subdivision or in the middle of a community. So also being involved with the party and talking with both parties a lot, we've started to notice that there were a lot of precincts from the last 20 years that were created or lines removed just because of how many state or house districts we actually had in the county. So now that we are down to one congressional district, one state district, and one house district, the time has come for a reevaluation of where our precinct lines were actually at, because we're no longer bound by the state district lines. So talking with the parties and communicating a lot with them, the decision was made to try to help the parties and help constituents by actually combining the precincts. And that was the whole game plan all along. But we're really talking, there are some precincts who have zero participation at their local caucus and county assembly for representation. So we decided, well, let's fix that and let's help the parties with the precincts. So what we did, and if Tony, you can go to the next page, because that's the county one right there. For those of you viewing online, these are the precinct maps only, not the commissioner districts. So we started merging the smaller registered voter, active voter precincts to try to make the participation larger, because for those of you who don't know, the highly populated areas such as Mid Canyon near the hospital, near the high school, near Safeway City Market areas, up in Dawson Ranch, they are heavy with population. So that means heavy participation versus stuff like out in the western end of the county, in between the two municipalities, north outskirts of the county. They just don't have the representation at the party level. So we started merging these. The map you see here right now is an up close of the Canyon City area, up toward the prison, Dakota Hideout, and on the far east end is the airport, Highway 67. Lincoln Park's also in this. We started, the intent of this is to get the active voters, which is how we have to base our precincts, more equal, so that there's equal representation from every single precinct. And that was the game plan overall. And so I think we did a really good job trying to redo all this. We redid a whole bunch of lines. If you flip to the next page, Tony, this is a Florence area here. We tried to change some of the lines so they coincided with more permanent areas, such as like the public land survey system, which is your section, township, and range lines. Permanent establishments such as, instead of drainages, we tried to use the railroad or highway, because if there's a flood, drainages move, the river moves. So we wanted to put it more of a permanent separation for these. So Tony, if you can go to the next page. This is a area of Penrose. We did the same thing here. It's a lot of land, but not a lot of people. Hopefully you guys can understand that. So just know that these areas start to get bigger. If you can go to the next page, Tony. Precinct 1, it's the northern end of Penrose area, all the way up to the county line, west of Highway 115. Precinct 2, if you go to the next page, Tony, it'll be the green one. Eastern Penrose, all the way down to State Highway 120. If you go to the next one, Tony. Precinct 3, it's a big precinct. We ended up combining precinct 28, I believe, was right there. But it extends all the way to where Highway 115 meets El Paso County borderline, all the way down to Custer, Pueblo, Fremont County border right there. And if anybody has any questions, commissioners, please interject at any time. Tony, if you go to the next page. We did originally have 3 precincts in Florence to try and coincide with the wards. However, we found that those 2 individual precincts, more to the east of Highway 115, were actually a lot smaller than what we originally thought. So we needed to combine them to kind of get an equalization between the Florence precincts. So we ended up going from 3 precincts down to 2. So you'll have your eastern precinct east of Highway 67, and then Tony, your next page will be the western precinct west of that, all the way over to High Meadows. If you go to the next one, Tony. This would be the southern region of the county here, also with the Rockville, Williamsburg, and Coal Creek areas. This has always been this size of a precinct. The only thing that really changed here is lined it up with the State Highway 67 for an easier way to write the legal descriptions when Dwayne reads those. If you go to the next one, Tony. Precinct 7, this is a combination of actually a few precincts. Some of our higher numbered ones, 29 and 30, are actually in Precinct 7 now. We also got rid of the precinct that was right in between Canyon, Brookside, and Florence. This precinct specifically had maybe, I think it was 200 active voters versus the 2,000 that were allotted. So we tried, and same thing with 29 and 30, they were actually maybe 500 to 600 registered active voters. So we kind of condensed those into one big active voter area. And if you go to the next one, Tony. Lincoln Park area, we tried to make sure this is all tuned into itself. Same thing with if you go to the next one, Tony. This is also the Lincoln Park area going south near on Chandler Creek Road. Go to the next one. This is the Dawson Ranch area. This is a big population precinct. It's always been this big. It's almost to the point that the next census we're going to have to actually redivide this one precinct itself. But as it sits right now, the biggest change that we did in this one was at the end of County Road 277, if you zoom in down on the bottom portion of that, Tony, there's a community down here, and have been cut up for as long as I know, one precinct on one side and one precinct on the other side of this county road, and it's about 200 on one side and 300 on the other. And trying to keep with community combination there, I put them all in the same precinct. So just that was the biggest change there. If you go to the next one, Tony. This one's near Territorial Prison, a little bit south of the river, South First, Riverside, all the way up to the old St. Scholastica. This precinct hasn't changed. Go to the next one, Tony. This precinct has changed. This is now going to be precinct 12. I believe it was 13 and 14 at one point. This is a little bit of the south of College near the high school, and then everything along the river basin below the bluff is what this area is now, with a few little key areas that are outside city limits up on top of the bluff as the city limits fall. Go to the next one, Tony. This one's St. Scholastica area, Washington School, and the high school. This one, we moved a few streets in there just to maintain active voter. I'm going to go to the next one. Precinct 14, same thing. Moved just a little bit, tweaked it to where it'd work right. The next one. This one is Precinct 15. I believe it was a combination of 16 and 15. This area has shrank in active voter registration, so we ended up having to merge the two precincts. It now ranges from 15th all the way over to 4 Mile Creek. Go ahead and hit the next one. 16, this one hasn't changed too much. Go to the next one, Tony. 17 was actually a merger of two different precincts as well. We had to expand the area due to the smaller active voter registration in these areas. Go to the next one. This next one, this is a lot of territory here. We actually combined 3 precincts into 1 precinct. It's the whole northern end of the county. Some of it follows the census blocks near Skyline Drive, but it's predominantly the northern area outside the Canyon City proper area. And Tony, go to the next one. Precinct 19 was a combination of stuff north of the highway and south of the highway. As you guys can see, these are getting pretty big, but the population is pretty small when it comes to active voter participation. And then the last one, Tony, this is Precinct 20. This is also a combination of 2 precincts. We went from 30 precincts down to 20, and we still maintain under the 2,000 premise, which is our extent on the approval of the Board of County Commissioners. We won't have to redistrict now until 2031, I believe, barring any natural consequences like COVID or anything else like that. But know that the lines that we changed and the combinations of precincts will bring a more accurate representation of the active voters that are in these areas and in these communities as they sit. So I will entertain any questions from anyone.
Any questions from?
Before Dwayne reads legals.
I do have a question.
Please.
You mentioned, Clerk, that you have worked with both of the major parties here in Fremont County in developing these maps. I would just like to know what issues they may have had. Are they satisfied with the way that you were able to work through those issues?
As far as I can tell, especially with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, the biggest issue that they've been having the last 20 years is no one showing up to certain areas for caucus. And, as you and I have both seen, there are some precincts that are in the Canyon City area where there is 0 representation. When I proposed the idea initially, we were going to go down to 22 precincts. I had talked to them about that, and the numbers were pretty okay. But when we had the availability to actually go down to 20, I know the excitement of the former Democratic chair and the Republican chair were excited more to have participation and of individuals in their central committees and at caucus. And I think that was the biggest push for this year. In 2013, we went from precinct polling to centralized voting, which helps out tremendously in this aspect as well, because you no longer get sent to the wrong polling place. You can go to any polling center and you can vote. So with that out of the ream, and this being the only pieces of the parties, I tried to work with them. And I am pretty sure now that there's a new chair with the Democratic Party, same chair with the Republican Party, that these maps will drastically improve their central committee availability of central committee participation, and absolutely with their caucus and county assemblies. This will actually show the representation when they vote on county elected officials going onto the ballot and going up further.
Okay, great, thank you.
As a former chair and my predecessor as chair in the audience here today, I can tell you that having 20 precincts instead of 30 would have been much more manageable in some of the big caucus events that we had. And honestly, having precinct committee people being able to have 100% participation from 20 precincts is better than having 50% of 30 precincts. And so I see a whole lot of advantages to this, those just being a couple out of probably 100, given my limited experience as chair.
Now, just to note, we do have around 31,000 active registered voters in Fremont County. This does not change that number. It's just reallocating those numbers to different precincts. So note that, you will have more people participating at your caucus with you.
Right.
So,
and especially in some of these that are very active, where some of these are combined, especially in like middle of Canyon City, like 15 and 16 have been active precincts, and now they're essentially combined into 15.
Yep.
And so those will be some busy caucus meetings with that kind of participation. Any other comments? Okay, let's go to some public comment. Brenda, come on up to the mic and introduce yourself and give comment.
Brenda Van Egman from Penrose. Where does this place the commissioners and their roles? Are they going to still stay like 1, 2, 3, 4, 26? Or are they being spread out to different precincts? They have to be, because you just counted 10. I'm just curious where the lines are going to be drawn now for county commissioners.
So are you talking about the county commissioner districts?
Yes.
So that's a different set of maps that we're talking about after these precinct maps.
Okay.
And in fact, those are the county commission maps right there. And these are all the precinct maps, so different sets of maps.
Okay, so that's afterwards. I'm ahead of myself.
No problem.
Always.
No problem.
To be fair, Ms. Van Egman, I think we're on the same subject at the same time, because you did reference precincts. So for those of you out in the audience, the precincts are determined by active voter registration, but the commissioner districts are based off of population. The precincts have never lined up with the commissioner districts. So there could be a commissioner in one precinct, and that precinct actually be represented by 2 different commissioners. So I think that's what you're kind of getting at, and as we transition to the next one, I can explain more, but note that the lines do not have to follow each other. The only times the precinct lines actually have to follow something are the congressional, state house, and state senate lines. If they do have multiples in one county, you do need to separate out by precincts, because there's a different way of reporting that information to the state when it comes to counting votes, to be honest.
And we don't have to have those precinct and commissioner districts follow the exact same lines, because we elect at large.
Correct.
So we don't have to have that separation or the exactness of precinct lines and commissioner district lines.
Correct.
Okay. Any comments on the precinct maps as they have been presented? This will require a resolution that will need to be drawn up, but we will need to assign a resolution number.
14.
And the map is ready for you to sign right behind us, actually.
Okay. And so, if there is a motion.
There could be. Mr. Chair, I move to approve this proposal to change our precinct maps as presented, and we will assign this resolution number 14.
And we will dispense of reading the legal
Yes, we will.
definitions at this time. I second that.
Oh, I don't know. I've been looking forward to that.
I'm choked up here.
You're just trying to get out of reading the legals. All right, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
On to our item, our public hearing that was scheduled for today regarding the proposal to change the boundaries of commissioner districts. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. And we do have on here County Clerk Grantham. I will probably go ahead and get us kicked off on that though. Because we have talked about this already a little bit, and we do have some maps over here for the audience that's in the room. We have on your left for the audience are the proposed districts, just a couple different breakdowns. The close-up of the city is that bottom map, and then the countywide up on top, showing the 3 commissioner districts. We also printed out on the right there the existing commissioner districts, just so you can kind of visually see the differences between some of the districts. It's tough to tell. They're nuanced. It's kind of close as far as the look there around Canyon City on the far away maps. That's why we have the close-up map there in the Canyon City area on the bottom. The biggest difference, at least when we look at Commissioner District number 1, if we go to that map on the screen.
And zoom in.
Yeah. When we look at that one, we cleaned up some of those lines down there on the bottom where Clerk Grantham was talking about including that entire area of the Bighorn subdivision down there on Oak Creek Grade. That was split between precincts, and it was also split between commissioner districts going down Oak Creek Grade Road. It made more sense to combine those into a single precinct because your neighbors should be in the same precinct, and you assume that your neighbors are going to be in the same commissioner district as well. So we moved that line to the east over there into the middle of that township, and then followed those section lines going north, as opposed to, if you see the pink area here in the room, that's Commissioner District 1 where it follows Oak Creek Grade. And so we combined that entire area, neighborhood, into Commissioner District 1. We're watching the map here inside and on the screen. If we go to the Canyon City area map, we can see some of the specific lines.
One more. Yep.
There we are. That just shows where some of the lines have landed now. We don't have the blow up of the current maps, but trust me, this is a lot cleaner look when we look at the intersection of the 3 commissioner districts as it winds through Canyon City. Canyon City is going to be the intersection of that just because of population concerns. Clerk Grantham mentioned that we have to base this on population, and so we're moving lines in order to try to adjust to get to a third, or nearly as possible in the 3 districts. We did move that line between green and blue, I think from Rhodes over to Ash.
Yes.
On the current district. And then we moved some of these lines up on the top right, I think between 2 and 3 as well. Actually all 3 of the districts up there on that top right corner of this current map. Some other small changes through there. Some of the other bigger changes on this particular map are down in the southwest part of this map, right, bottom left, where we have like the River Street and Arkansas River and that area down there between 1 and 3. So that's the 30,000-foot version of the maps. I think there was another big change up on the north side. It didn't move a lot of population between 2 and 3 going up. We went up Shelf Road instead of up Phantom
Canyon. Another big change is the town of Brookside. The town of Brookside was originally in Commissioner District 1. We have now transitioned town of Brookside into County Commissioner District 2. And we tried to kind of mold and rotate the commissioner districts. That way in future re-precincting, it's much easier to do with population centers, especially in Canyon City area, because how it was drawn originally, it is drawn more based on the census blocks than anything, and didn't really follow any rhyme or reason. So we tried to actually make it follow a rhyme or reason at this point. And we felt that the town of Brookside, though the zip code is 81212, they have a lot in common as a coal camp with Williamsburg, Rockville, and Coal Creek. So we made sure that was part of this change as well. As Commissioner Grantham said, changing the district line from Rhodes to Ash made more sense because Ash is a highly traveled road versus Rhodes, so people will understand that kind of distinction between the district lines right there as well.
And I think given the nature of these new lines, I think, say the population explodes in Florence, and that population shifts, it makes for that turn a little bit better in 10 years, where we can shift those lines, as you said, easier.
Absolutely. Same thing with the West End. If the population booms out there, we have a way to manipulate the District 1 lines inside the city limits to shift that population around to make sure we stay equal.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments on these commissioner district?
I do have one quick comment,
Please.
Mr. Chair. I just would like to say that with almost 14,000 population inside each of these districts, there is a difference between the highest and the lowest of only 51. And with the lines that you've had to draw and the manipulations that you've had to go through, I think that's an excellent job. So I just wanted to say thank you, because I know a lot of time and attention has been put into this.
Okay.
And I wouldn't put it past and make sure that we credit a lot of this to the GIS Authority, Fremont County GIS Authority, and Keith. Without his help with the commissioners and Dwayne reading the legal descriptions for the county commissioner districts. And the precinct work as well, to pull in the population and start shifting line by line and redoing the calculations. We could not have done this without Keith and the GIS Authority, so thank you to them as well.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
My cough came back, but I want to say thank you guys as well. I choked on my water a minute ago. It must be lumpy water. Dang it.
This, and these are the precinct maps up here right now on the screen. We have, I want to double down on the thank yous for Keith and for the clerk and the work that they did. You know, there's a lot that goes into this. It's about making sure neighborhoods are together and represented together. But there's also some expediency factors when it comes to the job that the clerk's office has to do in running elections. And we have to take those kind of things into account as well. And so appreciate all the work that was done there. This is a public hearing, and so this is open and available for comment from the public. And now is that time if you would like to make a comment or have a question regarding this item on the agenda.
While she's rushing the stage here, no, I just want to let everybody else know that this is not the only time. We have to wait 30 days before there's any action taken on this. So that is May 23rd. So if anybody has any other comments or any concerns or anything like that, feel free to reach out.
And I think it's at least 30 days before adoption.
Correct.
Between public hearing and adoption, so at least 30 days. So whatever that next BOCC meeting is after the 20.
That's the 9th. The 23rd of May would be more than 30 days.
More than 30
the 9th
days.
is less.
Okay. So we will be bringing this back again on the 23rd, but again, this is public testimony, public comment, questions, et cetera, today. But even then, it's still
She's waiting
available
very patient.
over the next 30 plus days. Sorry.
Okay.
Brenda, please.
Dwayne.
How may we help you?
Yes. The commissioners, you're going to split them still into 3 separate divisions.
Correct.
And does the commissioner have to live within their precincts? And
Districts.
districts, yes, excuse me. Can you please tell me which one is which over here again?
So on the left, the purple-ish one is District 3. That's Dwayne.
So you're up in the West End still? Okay.
And the green, the Penrose Florence area, that's District 2. That's Commissioner Bell.
Best district. Yes.
So okay, explain which areas there are for Debbie again. What are your?
It's everything that's in green. So basically, all of Penrose, Florence, the coal towns, Brookside.
Okay,
Yes.
so all in that, okay. And then you get
And then
Canyon.
I have the pie wedge down at the bottom.
Okay,
Again, taking in most of that population from Canyon City, except for North Canyon, that Commissioner McFall has most of that, and a little bit of the East Canyon area that Commissioner Bell has.
okay, so he got more, you got less, you got the same. I know, you got the same. I won't confuse you.
Everybody's line shifted somewhere.
By line-wise, yes. By land, Commissioner McFall did gain a whole lot more land this time around, yes.
You just wanted him to travel more during election, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Any other questions or comments regarding these maps? Again, this will be available for comment and question over the next 30 days plus to us. And so this is not the end, except we will not have a public discussion like this again until the adoption. All right. Seeing none, there is no motion that has to be taken on this, I believe, because this is for then. So we just close the public hearing.
Or do you? Is there still comment?
You can continue
Can
it
actually continue it because there's comment coming in still.
and leave it open for public.
We can leave it open for public testimony even in the next meeting, if we want.
So if you want to
Okay.
open it.
All right, we can do that. And that leads us to the last item on our agenda, the tabled item number 4. And I would be interested in the board's pleasure on this.
Mr. Chair, I've been giving this a lot of thought. I would prefer that we introduce the topic, that we have the discussion, and we can take a vote after that.
Okay. Then the item on our agenda, I will just read it out of here again. It's the request for the issuance of a malt, venison, and spirituous special events permit for American Medical Refugees Foundation at the Pathfinder Park Event Center, April 22, 23 of 2023, from 8 to 10 on both of those dates. And without a representative here, I'll turn directly to Ms. Smith.
Thank you. So, the American Medical Refugees Foundation turned in their application 33 days before their event, which also does not meet the county's 45-day guideline. Although the application was not submitted in time to meet the 45-day mark, the clerk's office was able to process the application without complications. They also provided all the required documentation, and the sheriff's office and health department did recommend approval. I would have made the same suggestion to this foundation about meeting the 45-day guideline, but they are not here today. And I would also note that this is the first time they've applied with us that I can see. I've only looked back in the last like 5 or 10 years, but as far as I can tell, this is their first time.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, if it's appropriate, I actually have some information on this particular event that I would like to share. Understanding I am not the applicant, I am not presenting for the applicant, but I did meet with the applicant at Pathfinder Park and our events director down there a few weeks ago to discuss this particular event. She did understand at that time that they did have to apply for this special event. One of the discussions that we did have was the reason that they are applying for this as the American Medical Refugees Foundation is that's another group that does these particular events. They go in, they are the ones who are responsible for and serve the alcohol. My understanding and belief is that they do have the training for this. This actual event is called the Southern Colorado Rock and Mineral Show. It's happening on Earth Day weekend at Pathfinder Park. This is a huge event that they have planned. They're talking about bringing a couple of thousand people at least into Fremont County. For this event, there will be a lot of big RVs out there parked. They have many, many vendors. They've already got over 50 vendors, I believe, who have signed up for this. This is the one I think I shared with the two of you after that meeting, that they have a dozen, I believe, different bands that are going to be showing up. They have a lot of music. They have a lot of different events and things planned for adults and for children and for everyone. And so I just wanted to share those things with you.
Okay.
I have a lot of questions on this application because one, you assume that they're qualified. We don't know.
We did have that discussion, and I was told yes, but we, obviously, this is secondhand information, so.
I see in their drawings that they're gonna use the building, the inside of the building, and then they're proposing roped off, is what they're calling it on the outside part of it. The problem I have with that is they're going clear to the construction fence. I don't think they need to get anywhere near that construction fence. They probably need to stay 15 to 20 feet off of that construction fence. Of course, we can't address them with that, but using that fence as a boundary is not a good idea.
No, it's not. Well, we can make any
Yeah, and we can
subject
make
to-
that happen. It looks like that's where the beer is gonna be, is in that outside part also. I don't know, Commissioner Bell, did she mention security? How are they gonna keep track of all this with all these RVs and stuff?
We did not get into that depth of conversation.
Okay.
I don't know how much of a partier rock hounds are. I don't know. I guess I wish they were here so we could get these questions answered.
Would we
but-
be able to make it conditional if they were to come in and speak with you about their plan? Or is that what the hearing is for?
Mhm. And yeah, we don't have another meeting until after their event.
Right.
Set the parameters that you want to see,
Yeah.
and they can comply with what the board requires.
Okay. Well, are there any further comments? Don't have anybody really to question unless we want to grill Ms. Smith.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to take this?
Yes. And we do make this available for the public as well. Anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on this agenda item is welcome to come speak now. Seeing none. Does anybody want to attempt a motion on this?
I will attempt a motion
Okay.
for this.
Before you make that motion, I'm going to request 20 feet away from that construction fence.
Okay. 20 feet of space between the beer tent and the construction fencing.
Okay, give me one moment. I'm making a couple of notes for my motion. All right. Mr. Chair, I move to approve this request for a malt, Venice, and spirituous special events permit for American Medical Refugees Foundation at the Pathfinder Park Events Center for events that will occur on April 22nd and 23rd from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on both dates. Conditions of this approval include moving the outside fence 20 feet or more away from the construction fence, an actual fence around the outside area, not a rope around that area, as well as all servers being certified before allowing to serve.
Okay. Anything else we need to add?
No, she's got security markers, so we're assuming again. But they'll be out there, I think. I'll second that.
I heard the clerk make a point on notification that these things are accomplished. I mean, as far as the security, or as far as the location of the tent versus construction fencing, that is something that would happen at the event anyway. They just need to be notified that this is conditioned in the permit.
Do you want me to notify them, and then is Jeremy going to be there? Would he be able to make sure that that's happening, or?
Jeremy will be present.
He's not liquor enforcement.
Yeah,
That's
true.
Yeah. Well, we're not either.
They do need to be notified, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'll speak with
I would say that that would just be, yeah, just you're notifying them of these conditions of their permit.
Okay.
I actually have a meeting this evening with Amy, who's not here, and I will
Good.
also notify her.
Have that conversation.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Do we have a second yet?
Yes.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? I will just chime in one last time. Mr. Phillips earlier in this meeting was a good sport in taking the brunt of both the clerk's office and the commissioner's offices over late applications. And just for the general comments, I guess, in regard to this, for those millions of folks watching the video today and in the future, that, you know, we're gonna have to start putting people on notice that we cannot allow these applications to continue that are coming in late. There's plenty of work to do without having to drop everything and rush and do your permit work. And so we need folks to get this in on time. The 30 days is a state requirement. 45 is our requirement. And our requirement, honestly, is what matters. So get it in on time and save us from having to turn your application away. How about that? So, in any case, we have a motion and a second before us with no other comments. Roll call.
Commissioner Bell.
Aye.
Commissioner McFall.
Aye.
Commissioner Grantham.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And with that, folks, I believe that concludes our business for the day, and we are adjourned.